So we're here today for this session to learn about data products. I'm glad you're interested because they're very hot, as we'll see. My name is Wayne Eckerson, president of Eckerson Group. I've been around this industry for 30 years now, written a lot of articles, written 2 books, and we do a lot of consulting with organizations on all aspects of data and analytics with a very small team of like-minded people like myself, all with 25 or 30 years of experience. We've consulted with lots of different companies, brand names and not, nonprofit, commercial. But we, unlike most, we don't do the build necessarily. We specialize in strategy and design work mostly. So enough about me. So data products are hot, hot, hot. We did a survey recently, and we found that 75% of companies are either implementing data products or planning to. Now, when I first saw that result, I thought, okay, does everybody have the same definition of what data product is? I don't think so. So we did some research on what that is, and we'll present some of the results today. So I think in looking at what people are talking about when they discuss this topic, I think there's a number of problems plaguing data users. And I have this little mantra, because when we go in and consult with organizations, we interview a lot of business and technical stakeholders. And the business people always say the same thing. And it's kind of become a mantra. You know, I can't find the data I need to do my job. And when I find it, they don't give me access to it. I have to wait days, weeks, months, even years, we've heard, filling out forms in triplicate to get access to the data. And when I do get access to the data, either I don't need it by that time, or I don't trust it, right? It's full of errors. So I got to go get my own data, and I'm not going to share it with anybody, you know? So that's the problem that we try to solve when we go in and work with companies like yours. Those are the 4 things. And, you know, the ramifications are there's a huge bottleneck, right? There's no data sharing. And people don't like the IT or BI team. And they're just kind of trying to fend for themselves. And the organization's kind of just, you know, splitting apart, right? Diverging. So I think data products, people are glomming onto them to kind of solve those fundamental issues that most people have in their organizations. But again, what are they talking about? You know, well, I hear all of these things mentioned, right? Are all those data products? Well, I would say yes, right? So a data product is in the eyes of the beholder a lot of times. So I think data products can be anything. So this slide will show you, boy, I need my glasses here. I'll just have to look this way. You know, if you're a data engineer or developer, a data product is reusable code or libraries. You know, things that someone else created that they can use and trust and accelerate what they do. If you're a data analyst, it's probably reusable queries in the form of SQL code, right? Reusable metrics, reusable data sets, things that can accelerate your job. If you're a data scientist, it's reusable features and models and data sets. You get the idea. If you're a business analyst, standard metrics, standard dimensions, standard cohorts. Business executives, it's a standard dashboard or report that's been certified and trustworthy. It's got that stamp of approval on it. And if you're a customer or external partner, it would be a product that's been delivered for you to work better with the company. Does all that make sense? So there's been a lot of discussion about what it is. In this regard, it can be anything. It's really about how it's packaged, right? So in my opinion, we create a lot of data assets in our organizations. But not all of them are going to be data products, because they don't all fit this notion of a product. And all you have to do is think of commercial products. We all shop, we all go into stores, we all pick things off the shelves. Why do we call those products, right? Because they're mass manufactured for target audiences and they're packaged in such a way that it makes it easy for people to evaluate, sample them, and take them with them, right? And that's all we're trying to do in our space, is make data assets as simple as the commercial products we go into stores and buy. And I think, and I'll argue, that a store is fundamental to the definition of a data product. So what are some of the key characteristics of these data products that separate them from just run-of-the-mill data assets? They're targeted to a specific audience. And we just saw a few audiences. Those were roles, but they could also be geographies or specific companies, right? They're designed for reuse, not a one-time usage. And because they're designed for reuse, they're also designed for broad data sharing. So more than one person or group can be using this. They're packaged with rich metadata so that people can really evaluate what it is they want to consume. You know, if you go and buy a can of tomato soup, you can look on the package and it tells you everything, mostly, everything you want to know before you buy it, right? The ingredients are, you know, the number of calories, where it was manufactured, the date, the expiration date, all that good stuff is on the label. That's metadata. You know, we have to provide that with our data products and assets too. It contains a real or implied contract. You know, if I'm producing a data product, what kind of agreements, service level agreements am I committing to in terms of quality and freshness, right? It also goes the other direction. If you're consuming that data product, what are the terms of usage? Maybe you have to consume it on the platform where it exists. You can't download it. Maybe you can only use it for 3 months or 3 weeks. Maybe you can't use it in a commercial product that your company sells. Those are terms of usage. So a two-way contract. Systematically governed. Hopefully all of our assets are governed, but it's not a requirement. For a data product, it really is, because you have an implied contract or a real contract. It's going to hold you as the producer accountable for the quality and freshness of that product, right? And one difference is that it's managed by a product team, not developers, right? Not the head of BI. It's managed by people who kind of have this product mindset, right? Call them product owners. Those are the people I think are more accountable for the product. And then product managers, they're the ones who actually facilitate the creation of that and hire developers to build it and interact with customers to understand what they want and get their feedback on it. So that's a product team. In our space, those are going to be on the business side more than the technical side. And this is why it's tricky, I think, for a lot of data organizations to make this switch from project management to product management, because the business has to get involved, which means they have to want to get involved, right? And not every department is going to have people like that. And I have seen some BI teams, enterprise BI teams, try to seed product managers into these groups from their team. Doesn't always work. Here's a big one that executives don't quite get. Data products are continuously funded, right? They're not a one-shot thing. They have to commit to a long-term budget with releases every year or multiple times a year. It's going to have a life cycle that should be estimated in advance. It's continuously funded because it's going to be continuously improved through multiple releases. And finally, and we'll spend a little bit of time on this, because I've already argued that a data marketplace, which is where we put all of our products so that people can find them, is really fundamental to what makes a data product a data product. It adds characteristics that really facilitate the sharing and exchange of these products. All make sense? Any questions or comments? Awesome. Okay, let's go on. Just to reinforce this, sometimes it's helpful to say what it's not, especially in this case where it's kind of a vague definition. So a data product is not a one-off project. I think I've kind of implied that. Built by a solo developer or an individual, one-time use, without much oversight or governance. You can certainly rule that out. That is not a data product, okay? What it is, kind of in summary, it's a continuously funded program built by a team of developers, usually it's a team, for a target user group that's continuously enhanced with product manager oversight and rigorous data governance. Okay, so from our survey, what prompted your organization to adopt data products? You 75% who are doing it or want to do it. Well, the top two were trustworthy data, right? Going back to my mantra. And need to share data. So that's the top two of my 4 mantra items right there. This is from a report we recently produced. No? What challenges are people facing? This is interesting. Biggest challenge, creating a data product mindset. We don't have that mindset in data. We've never had it. We've had a project mindset, right? And the people who manage us have the project mindset. So how do you create a product mindset in a group that's always been project-oriented? That really is the big question. I think you need to seed your teams, these product teams, with people who've done it. Product management, either on your commercial side of your business or from another company that you bring in to do this, right? Because they'll have that mindset. That's a good way to do it. And then secondly, defining data products. As I said, most people don't even agree what it is. Well, there's 2 sides to that one. Most people don't even know what a data product is. And then actually trying to define what it is you're going to build for this target audience is an obstacle and a challenge. And why is that? Why is trying to find out what you want to build an obstacle? Well, you have to go talk to your customers, right? And sometimes in the data space, we're too laden with just putting out fires to really establish a long-term relationship with the people we're trying to support and serve. We don't know them well enough. We don't know their strategic goals, what metrics they're being used to be held accountable for, right? So we have to have kind of a relationship with our core customers before we can really understand what it is they need and we can build for them that they'll get long-term usage out of. Obviously, a lot of other challenges. Okay, so I kind of very enamored of data marketplaces. I think this is a cool emerging technology that meets one of those 4 items in the consumer mantra, right? Need to share data. And also it helps the other 3. It helps you find the data products, helps you trust them because there's implied contract. So what is a data marketplace and why should you have it? I think it unlocks the true value of data products. You don't have to have a data marketplace to have data products, but it certainly helps in many ways, which we'll go through. The big benefit is that it automates frictionless data sharing. Even if your organization wants to share data, does it happen? How easy is it to make that happen? I bet it's pretty darn hard. People kind of hold on to their data, and sometimes they're very territorial about it, especially when there's not a really strong architecture or program supporting it. So a data marketplace makes it easy for data consumers to browse, search, and evaluate relevant data products. And this is a big one. It kind of forces you to define up front who can access which products in which categories. And you define that access, for the most part, up front. You're still probably going to have the need to have requests and manual provisioning. But for the most part, you can start to automate your data access. And that clears away a lot of obstacles. 3, subscriptions. You can define who can consume what products for how long, at what frequency, and through which channels and delivery methods. Just taking all the friction out of sharing things and consuming things, right? So we do have commercial data marketplaces today, right? Amazon data marketplace, Snowflake data marketplace. And they're kind of what I'm talking about, except for internal consumption and use. These are internal data marketplaces I'm talking about now. So think of an Amazon data marketplace for your company. Terms of use and service. What's the contract? Defines what consumers can do with the product and what producers must deliver. So we've talked about that. Just built right into the subscription. Specifies the price or cost, if it's a chargeback in your own company, of the product, if any. For the most part, if it's an internal data marketplace, these products will be provided free of charge. But you can see this lays the foundation for data monetization down the road, because you can easily turn this marketplace inside out and make select products in your library available to external customers and suppliers. And then finally, supports automatic delivery to a desired target via preferred channel and specified format. So it automates the delivery. So users don't have to go find it and then download it and then integrate it or put it somewhere. It's already just pushed there on demand, on subscription, on a regular interval if that's what you wanted, right? So that's why I think these marketplaces are so fundamental to data products, is that they take the friction out of data sharing. And frankly, how many of you are interested in the data mesh? Handful, right? So you know the 4 pillars of the data mesh, right? Let's see if I can remember them. It's data products. That's where a lot of this interest in products come from, is the whole data mesh thing, right? Self-service data platform, federated data governance, and what was the 4th one? It'll come to me. But they missed one. The 5th one is the data marketplace. If you're going to have a mesh with all these distributed domains creating data products, well, no one's going to be able to find them if they just live in the domain. You need to put them someplace so people can find them. So a data marketplace is fundamental to a data mesh. You with me so far? Excellent. Oh, my prediction, all large organizations will have a data marketplace in 3 to 5 years. Now, last year, there weren't any data marketplace tools or platforms available, except if it was for commercial sales of data products. So Amazon, Snowflake. Well, Snowflake doesn't, you can't buy and sell stuff there as I understand it. But there's a lot of commercial selling and buying of products on various commercial data platforms out there. And some of those vendors are realizing the big opportunity is not for that kind of external data consumption. It's inside organizations and enterprises. So they're moving to provide internal data marketplaces. So when you combine these two things, data products and data marketplaces, everyone benefits. Business executives get a culture of data sharing and analytics. Product owners save time fulfilling manual requests for data assets. Every time we go into a client, just people are just besieged who have their spreadsheets, right, that they've created that contain the gems of information that other people in the organization want. Now they not only have to maintain this like little rogue system, they have to give users access to it. It becomes like a full-time job, right? Have any of you seen that dynamic happen in your organization? Yeah. So for product consumers or data consumers, it saves time waiting for permission to access data assets, guarantees quality and freshness. For product managers, it makes it easy to publish, track, and retire data products. So now we can track who's using it, for how long, for what purpose. We can see its trajectory. It's starting to trail off. Well, even though we've kept enhancing it, usage and consumption is trailing off, maybe it's reached the end of its life cycle. Life cycle management is a big part of product management. And we can do this now with this technology. And for data leaders, it's a real boon. It can help them bridge data silos, which is, the thorn in their side perennially, and turbocharge data governance. Yes?
I have a question. The fourth pillar was about data domains.
Data domains, right. Thank you.
How do you think that marries with the concept of data market? It looks like it's very organizational. When we're talking owners, consumers, managers, how do you think we can apply the domain mindset to a data marketplace successfully?
So the question is, how can we apply domain mindset, domain being the fourth pillar of the data mesh, to the data products? Well, if in a data mesh, if the domains are producing data products, they're producing them for themselves, first and foremost. So they're probably just keeping them locally. So how do you make those available to other domains that might want them if you need them? Well, everyone has to understand where to go to get them in each domain. So a marketplace will just maybe automatically extract those data products that the domain is given permission to share into a global data marketplace so that it's much easier, one place to go and shop for data products. That's my off-the-top answer. And we'll get back to that organization of how you manage data products. Okay, so this is the technology that's coming our way. I call this a data product platform. And some of it should be very familiar to you, right? Well, let's start at the top. The top is the data marketplace. And it's typically got a studio for product managers and developers who create and publish data products, and in doing so define access terms. They're tracking usage, and there's collaboration built in, so if a consumer has a question about one of their products, they can answer it inside the platform, inside the marketplace, right? On the other side, there's a studio or a store for consumers to go shopping and subscribe to products, ask questions, view the terms, sample, and maybe even play with the data if the producer allows it on the platform, and ask questions. This is all sitting on top of a traditional data platform, which you may already have, okay? Probably do. Have tools, and we're calling this a data fabric right now, that go out and connect to various sources, transform it into pipelines that are orchestrated and monitored. And the end result is a whole bunch of data assets that are sitting there waiting to be used. And maybe some of those are created as products here and just published here. Or these studios allow the developers or the product managers to browse the assets, combine assets to create a data product, and then publish it. So if you have this already, maybe all you need is the marketplace to sit on top of it. Or maybe you don't really have a good data platform and want to integrate it all in one system, so you buy all of it. Or you realize you have to build it. Like poster child for data mesh is Roche Pharmaceuticals, and they're building their own marketplace. In fact, they've created a marketplace of domain marketplaces, to get back to your question. Each domain has its own library, and then they have a corporate library that pulls from the domain libraries. So you'll build, buy, or mix and match this technology to support your data products. And the interesting thing is that a lot of these data products will be virtual. They're not going to be files like in the commercial like the Amazon data marketplace, those are usually files, right? Parking tickets, from Seattle for the last 5 years, stuff like that. I'm getting one of my 12 spam calls a day here. So a lot of these, in this kind of environment, with the underlying technology, if you have a virtualization capability, which many companies do now because of the products they've bought, or if you're buying some of this pure play, next generation, they'll include a virtualization capability that'll allow you to browse these assets, which may be residing anywhere, and then pull them together into a product that's a logical product, right? That when a user actually subscribes to it and downloads it, it's delivered and dynamically generated and delivered. Make sense? Okay. So where's this new technology coming from? I've hinted already. A lot of it's coming from the data commerce vendors like Harbor, Data, Revelate, that has the biggest data marketplace out there right now that supports the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and all the financial products, data products they put up there. Narrative.io, Dalex, that's a French company. Supports a lot of regional and country-based data, commercial and public data marketplaces. Data catalogs is a logical place to see a data marketplace spring. And I keep talking to these vendors and asking them, when are you going to support a data marketplace? And they all kind of look at me like a little quizzically. It's like, why would we do that? No one's asking for it. I say, well, it's going to be a big thing. And so I am starting to see just now that vendors are starting to take notice. There's a little data catalog vendor. It's great. There's a new breed of data catalog vendors out there, folks, that are half the price and faster, better, and cheaper than what you've got out there today. And they kind of get it. So Zinnia is the first one that's got a marketplace right now attached to their data catalog. And data catalog already has all the metadata, right? So it makes sense that they would also be able to publish these products. Elation has committed to doing this, which was a surprise because their CEO 4 months ago completely denied that they would go in that direction. So they saw the light, and I think others will too. Data pipeline vendors. They're putting together the infrastructure, the pipelines that generate all the assets, and they're obviously seeing that, oh, we got assets. Well, all we have to do now is create a marketplace to house those assets that people want to share publicly. And possibly you'll see data marketplaces from data analytics vendors and master data management vendors, but less likely. So I just mentioned data catalog vendors, and people often say, well, we already share data through our data catalog. And I'm like, how easy is that? And data catalogs were designed to house metadata. They weren't really designed to give you access to the actual data, right? Some of them have built-in provisioning mechanisms where you can go request, oh, I see this asset that I want to access. Let me push a button and request access. And then it goes, creates a ticket, sends it to the owner thinks about it, asks questions, who are you, what do you want to use it for? You get back and forth, and then maybe you get access to it, right? That's the state of the art, I think, in most data catalogs today. Some of them do have direct query, SQL query capabilities, but guess what? Most security managers turn those off because they don't want another channel into the data that they don't know about. So anyway, if we just go through this chart quickly, catalog is, their content is assets. It's a data product platform. It's data products. The purpose of a catalog is generally discovery and governance, where the purpose of a data product platform is sharing. Target users, you could say there's a lot of overlap here. You know, content manager, there's a data steward or data curator in a catalog, and a product manager and a data product platform. The scope is internal for a catalog or internal, potentially external for a DPP. Data, here's the big one. For data access, a catalog, as I just went through the whole provisioning mechanism, that's manual, right? Upon request, where in a platform, it can be predefined and automated. Metadata, business and technical, data product platform has all of this metadata plus additional metadata that we talked about, subscriptions, delivery, contracts. No data delivery in a catalog. It's automated potentially in a data product platform. And the use cases for a catalog are discovery, governance, data migration, impact analysis. Those are the 4 big ones. Whereas in a data product platform, it's also discovery, but a lot of it's access and data sharing and monetization. So does that clear up the difference? I know people get very confused on that. And that's a lot of information to absorb there. Ultimately, I think data catalogs will be the place that we go to build these products. So, okay, you want to do data products. You want to get better governed data, more trustworthy data, make it easier to share. Well, how do you do that? How do you build these data products? Question?
More of a statement, you probably can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but on your last slide, if you would mind going back for a second, you were basically saying, if I'm interpreting right, in order to do a data product platform, you need to have a mature and established data catalog to facilitate data product platform. Would that be correct? Or no?
That's a good question. It would really help, right?
I almost think like you can't really have a product platform without understanding your products, which is where the catalog, I believe, would come in.
Exactly.
And depending on how good your catalog is, depends on how good your product platform is.
Right. So if you have 2 separate products, a data catalog and a data product platform, the data product platform would want to pull all the metadata from the catalog into the product platform, which is, you know, that's why I think the data catalog vendors should make this an extension of what they already do.
Not just metadata, but also things like lineage and data quality rules and profiling results, so you can fully understand the products that you're looking at buying. Just pull metadata, that's only a third or a fourth of the pie that you need to make an informed decision on.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah. Lineage is very important. Yeah. So that's why I've gone to every single data catalog vendor in the last year and asked, when are you going to support a data marketplace? Because it just is a logical sequence of what they're already doing. But they don't get it yet, most of them. All right, so this is all about process. You know, the first thing you need is a product team that goes out and figures out who the target audience is and what they need, and what they can build to meet that need, right? Once they come up with a plan, a product plan, then they turn it over to developers who build out the product. Then you got to package the metadata around that product, as we just talked about, both business and technical, mostly business metadata for the data product platform. And then that product, before you ship it, needs to go through some governance reviews, right? Actually, the governance reviews happen right after the product definition stage, and we'll see this in a second, and the product development stage. There's a business review, and then there's a technical review before you want to ship and release that product. The business review is really, does this make sense for us to invest in this? What kind of return are we going to get? And the technical review is, all right, is this product doing what it's supposed to do? Is it delivering the kind of quality it needs to deliver? And can it scale to support the demand we expect? And we'll dive down into governance in a second. And then you publish it to a marketplace, provision it, hopefully with some training and support built in case people get confused about how to use that product, especially if it's a higher level product like a dashboard. And then you have to monitor it, right? And get customer feedback and bring that feedback. Oh, I'm missing a line here. That feedback, there should be a line, all the way back in here to redefine, come up with the next version or release of that product, right? And then you repeat the process. Let's see if we can get the line here. Oh, there it is, okay. So the life cycle of a data product. Product managers are integral to this whole process. They're the ones who started off in step number 1, and they kind of oversee all the subsequent steps. So they shape the product. Oh, not a project manager, not a BI developer, not a technical person, right? It's a business person, typically, especially if it's a more business-oriented data product. If you're just producing reusable SQL code and components, probably don't need a business person doing that, right? But if it's more for business consumption, higher level products, the product manager needs to, as I said, understand the customer, right? Create the plan, present it to the superiors, the stakeholders, get funding, and submit it for review to make sure this is what the company wants to invest its money in. Then they need to oversee the shipment of the product, create the technical specs, coordinate with the development team, create product versions, operationalize it, and publish it to the data store or marketplace. And then finally manage it, market and promote the product. Well, if you have a data product platform, it's easier to do. Monitor it, solicit feedback, adapt the plan, and reiterate, okay? All right, so in terms of the organization, this is the data mesh approach here, decentralized model, where every business domain has its own data product team that's represented in here, right? Not all domains are going to be that interested in doing this, though, right? They don't want to invest in product managers. They don't want to invest in development teams. And that's where the data mesh approach can fall down. So, the pros is that your domains get autonomy. They don't have to wait for anybody. They just build what they want. The cons are that not every domain has a product manager. The products coming out of each of these product teams may not align. In fact, they may conflict. And that's going to drive your CFO and CEO crazy. So another approach, the other direction, is a centralized model where you have one data product team centrally, and they essentially oversee the creation and management of all the data products from all the domains. You probably know the pros and cons there. The pros is that it's easier. The products that are produced are probably more likely to be aligned and not contradictory. And you can serve all the domains. The cons are that the domains lose some of that agility and autonomy that they like and want. There's more overhead and bottleneck. You guys have all been through this, right? In various incarnations of delivering data to your organization. So what's the obvious solution to this, or the optimal solution? Is it one extreme or the other extreme? No, it's a federated approach, right, where you have both at the same time. So most organizations will have both domain teams with their own product teams, like you see here, some domains without product teams, which will be supported by a corporate data product team, who may assign product managers to each domain or multiple domains. And there you get the best of both worlds, for the most part. All right, so this is a little workflow of the governance. Your product team, defining the products, creating the plan, and then it presents it to a product review board to see if this is something the company wants to invest in. Do we have enough resources? Will it align with what we already have? How are we going to evaluate whether it succeeds or not? If they get the green light, then they ship it over to the development team to build it. And when they're finished, they present that to a technical review board to see if it actually delivered as promised. Can it scale? Does it comply with our standards for does it perform and scale? And if it passes all those reviews, then marketplace or just sent to the target customers who will then consume it. And if a lot of these DPPs or data marketplaces have kind of the social experience where you can follow certain developers or certain products, you can rate, you can review, you can comment. So it's easy to get feedback using this kind of a platform. And IT will obviously monitor the operations here to see if there's any errors and fix those before they break a contract, right? Send alerts back to the product team and the development team, et cetera. So this is how we make sure that what we deliver is of optimal quality. So in our survey, we asked which product groups exist in your organization. No surprise, 55% have a data product team, because we kind of all have this to some extent already, right? We may not have that product mindset and focus, but we do have teams that go out and gather requirements. But much fewer have a product review board, only 24%, and only 30% have a technical review board. Now, that's a pretty rigorous governance process. And some of you might be thinking, we can't do that. We don't need to do that. And you might be right. Right? So I think the degree of rigor in your governance of your product is going to depend on the type of product. So if you're just creating reusable, you probably don't need to put it through a business review, right? Maybe not even a technical review, or much of one. Probably just pure code review, right? Just using standard software development best practices, right? But as you move down this hierarchy here, when you start producing products for your executives, your leaders, your customers, your partners, you're going to have a lot more exacting governance, right? So almost done here. How are we doing for time? So 1:17. No, that can't be the right time. It's 11:30, so we have 15 more minutes. So we have plenty of time for questions. So this is almost the last slide, but these are best practices. So when we did this survey, we also had an open-ended question. What are the best practices in delivering data products? So this is quotes from our survey respondents, grouped into 3 categories: before you start, when you design, once you build. And I'll just point out a few things. So before you start, make sure everyone understands what a data product is. Find executives who are passionate about data-driven decision-making and will continuously fund a data product. And seed your team with experienced product managers. Oh, makes sense, right? This came up a lot, this sequence here. Know the business problem and users you're trying to serve. And I'm always surprised at how many BI developers, data leaders don't know who they're really serving in detail. Talked a little bit about that yesterday in my tutorial. Once you know your users, create well-defined use cases for how they're going to use this thing. How does it fit into their work processes? What is it going to help them do that they can't do today? And finally, basically start small with a small number of creators, test it, and then build out as you go, learning from your mistakes and false assumptions. This is all kind of motherhood and apple pie for what you should be doing already. Assign a governance group to decide the functionality of a data product and its enhancements. And get customer feedback early in the design process. And then finally, once you've created these things, the key is to get people to use them. Otherwise, why go through the whole effort, right? So promote them and track adoption and usage. You know, this is like your sales metrics. Are you succeeding in selling your product, or are you failing? You won't know unless you track it, right? Okay, in summary, data products are hot. They're hot because they promise to solve the key pain points companies and business users are struggling with when it comes to data. That mantra I mentioned. Data products are more than assets. They're targeted to an audience, managed by a product team, reusable, shared, and continuously funded and improved. Creating a robust product organization is key. A data marketplace unlocks the full value of those products. If you have a certain number of products, you probably want a data marketplace to put them in to facilitate the frictionless exchange of information. And then finally, data product platforms are coming soon. And I think if your organization is of a certain size and is generating a certain amount of data products, you'll need one. And the news is that they're going to be out there to meet your need when you have that. So we have some time. Are there any other questions or comments? Yeah.
I know you just kind of explained the whole workings of GPUs, but what makes you say 3 to 5 years exactly?
Because I want to be like a Gartner analyst and make a bold prediction. I guess I said 3 to 5 years because I've been in the industry long enough to know that these things take a long time to roll out. It takes the mainstream 10 to 20 years to implement something that we talked about that long ago. I'm saying the leading edge, what did I say? A majority. I said a majority. Well, that might be a little aggressive. I would say maybe the leading edge adopters of companies will be implementing these data product platforms in 3 to 5 years. It depends on the number of products that they generate. But if you looked at our survey, 75% are doing it. I'm not exactly clear what they're doing, but they say they're creating data products. It could be just putting a rubber stamp on what they're already doing. It's really hard to tell kind of the difference between what you're already doing and what I just talked about for an hour, right? There's kind of a vagueness between the two, but hopefully it's a little bit more clear that there is a slight difference, and the quality, the integrity, the rigorousness of what you're doing for these certain types of assets goes up. You treat those assets like you should or could sell them on an open market. That's the mentality, right? So you need to build that level of rigor into it. There was another question over here, yeah.
It'd be interesting to hear your opinion about the data quality of this product. Are you counting on the data quality of generating the assets, the data assets, or it should be a separate process because data product might have different customers with different quality needs?
Right, so how do you gauge the level of quality needed for a data product when it might be serving multiple types of users, right? So that's where it's really important to define who your audience is and what level of quality they need, what's fit for purpose for this use case or this audience. Now, other audiences might come in and start using that product, and maybe the quality is not fit for purpose for them. But then that becomes a new data product, right? They'll get feedback and they'll say, oh, we need to either increase the quality for this data product to support this new audience, or we bifurcate the development and create two data products. Probably the former more than the latter. There is a lot of talk today about creating data contracts in YAML so that they can be automated and automatically enforced. I don't know as much about that, so I didn't include it in the presentation, but it would be a way to help both sides understand what's being agreed to and what should be delivered, and automate the monitoring of what's delivered to make sure it's supporting what was agreed to. Anybody else? Yes.
I have a question. Maybe, I don't know if you want to talk about architecture, but we don't need to look at that. But my question is, where do you think it's most convenient to manage the metadata? In the product platform, in the catalog, or even in the marketplace?
So where's the best place to collect and manage the metadata? You have a catalog. There's going to be metadata in the assets. Actually, I had no that I didn't show. You are collecting the asset itself has its own, right? And that's metadata. Those properties get pulled in by the data catalog, and they have a richer set of properties or metadata, including lineage, right? And then the data product platform builds even more metadata on top of what's in the catalog and in the asset itself. The subscription type data, right? The contractual data. So it's kind of a hierarchy of metadata that's created. As we talked about, should you deliver products through a catalog or a data product platform? You can do it either way. And I don't know how it's all going to completely evolve, but I do believe that catalog vendors have a unique opportunity to dominate this market because they already have most of the metadata. But there's additional metadata that you need to provide if you're going to deliver data products to a broader audience. So they need to provide an extension to what they have and make that available with automated delivery. So there's work they have to do. And most of them have other priorities right now, so it's going to take most of them time to move down that path. In the meantime, they're going to be pure play vendors who come out with their own data marketplaces that you can append right to the top of what you've already got, both your data catalog and your data platform, right? Okay, so you're all set to go back and create some data products or share them. If you have any questions about this or any other topic, yesterday I taught a tutorial on data strategies. So I've been doing this a long time. Be more than happy. Would love to sit down and talk with you about any issues you have to help you along your journey, you or your company. So with that, thank you all very much. I hope you have a great day.